Your electricity meter is spinning, not because a light is on, not because anyone is home, not because a single appliance is running. It is spinning because of something built into your home decades ago by an industry that knew exactly what it was doing. They had the science in 1997. The government confirmed it in 2008. A study of 70,000 homes proved it in 2015. And in all that time, not one utility company, not one electronics manufacturer, put a single sentence about it on your monthly bill. There is a device. It costs nothing. It takes 20 minutes. And it has been sitting in plain sight the entire time. Tonight, Hidden Fix Lab opens the file they never wanted opened. What you are about to learn cannot be unlearned. Welcome to Hidden Fix Lab, the channel where buried science finally gets the light it deserves. Now, before we go any further, if you are new here and you are the kind of person who likes knowing things the industry spent decades hoping you would never find out, hit that subscribe button. Think of it like this. You would not walk away from a neighbor who just told you your house had a leak you never knew about. So do not walk away from this channel either. We will be here every single week with another file they thought was closed. And one more thing, drop a comment down below and tell us where in the world you're watching from. Whether you are in Texas or Toronto, London, or Lahore, or somewhere in between, we want to know who is in the room tonight. Now, let us open the file. The year is 1973. A cold winter has locked most of Europe in silence. Fuel prices are climbing, heating bills are doubling, ordinary families are opening envelopes they are afraid to read. And somewhere in a small apartment in Copenhagen, Denmark, a retired electrical engineer named Harold Svensson is doing something his neighbors think is strange. He is unplugging things. Not broken things, not old things, everything. Every device that is not actively running, every charger, every clock, every standby light glowing quietly in the dark. His electricity bill drops by nearly a third in 60 days. His neighbors laugh. His utility company does not notice, or perhaps they do. But Harold's discovery was not new. The truth is, the principle behind what he was doing had been understood for over 1,000 years. Not in the language of watts and kilowatt hours, but in the language of water, fire, and simple human observation. In ancient Persia, around 900 AD, engineers managing the great underground water channels known as qanats understood one foundational rule of resource management. A channel left open bleeds water whether anyone is drinking from it or not. They called it passive drain, and they built mechanical shutoff gates carved from stone and cedar wood, specifically to stop resources from escaping when no one was using them. The logic was not complicated. It was just economics. Fast forward to 1882. Thomas Edison opens the Pearl Street Station in Lower Manhattan. America's first commercial power grid begins delivering electricity to 85 customers. Within 3 years, Edison's own engineers are documenting something uncomfortable. Electricity is being consumed at night in buildings that are closed by equipment that is not running. The notes are filed, the observations are recorded, and then, quietly, they are set aside. Because in 1882, more consumption meant more revenue. Passive drain was not a problem to solve. It was a profit to protect. The pattern repeats itself in 1955. Eugene Pauly, an engineer at Zenith Radio Corporation in Chicago, introduces the world's first wireless television remote control. The crowd watching the demonstration erupts in applause. What no one in that room understands yet is that Pauly has just made every television in America permanently unable to fully turn off. Because to receive a wireless signal, a device must always be listening. It must stay partly alive, drawing power, waiting, every single hour of every single day. That design decision, made in a Chicago demonstration room in 1955, would eventually cost American households $19 billion every single year. Harold Svensson did not have a laboratory. He did not have a research grant. He had a cold winter, a rising bill, and a simple question nobody in the industry wanted asked. What if the device is costing you money even when it is off? The answer to that question has been buried for decades. Part 2 opens the science file. The file was opened in 1997, not by a journalist, not by a consumer watchdog, by a quiet staff scientist at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory in California named Alan Meyer. Meyer was not looking for a scandal. He was just measuring things other researchers had stopped measuring. Power consumption in homes, specifically in devices that were switched off. What he found stopped him cold. A television in standby mode was drawing between 1 and 15 watts. Not zero, not close to zero. 15 watts. Continuously, every hour, every night. Whether the family was home or not, a VCR with its clock blinking was pulling between 5 and 20 watts. A cable box was drawing up to 30 watts through the night. A desktop computer left in sleep mode was consuming between 15 and 45 watts. Meyer multiplied those numbers across the 65 devices the average American household had plugged in by the late 1990s. The result was between 100 and 200 watts of constant background electricity draw, running silently, running permanently. running on every meter in every neighborhood across the country. He published his findings in 1997 under a title almost nobody read: Standby Power Consumption in United States Residences. The estimate was precise. Standby power alone accounted for approximately 5% of total residential electricity consumption in America. Within 2 years, a follow-up study doubled that figure to 10%. The science was not disputed. The data was clean. The methodology was sound. And still, not one utility company mentioned it on a single monthly bill. In 2015, the Natural Resources Defense Council partnered with Stanford University's Sustainable Systems Lab to conduct the largest residential phantom load study ever attempted. They examined 70,000 homes. What they found reset every prior estimate. Always-on background devices represented nearly 23% of total household electricity consumption. The average household was losing $165 every year to devices that were doing absolutely nothing. For some households, the number climbed to $440 annually. The science was published. The data was freely available. The solution required nothing more than a power strip and a switched socket. But between the laboratory and the living room stood an industry with every financial reason to make sure the distance stayed exactly that wide. Part 3 opens that file next. The year is 1999. In Geneva, Switzerland, representatives from 38 of the world's largest economies gather under the banner of the International Energy Agency. The agenda is not oil, it is not coal, it is something far smaller and far more embarrassing. It is the electricity bleeding silently out of every home on Earth. The IEA launches what it calls the 1 Watt Initiative, a global coordination effort with a single goal: pressure electronics manufacturers into designing devices that consume no more than 1 watt of power in standby mode. The initiative is not a suggestion. It is a formal coordinated policy response from the most powerful energy body on the planet. The electronics industry listens politely, then continues exactly as before. The Consumer Electronics Association, the trade group representing every major electronics manufacturer selling into the American market, had known about standby drains since the mid-1980s. Internal engineering documents from that period show that standby circuit design was a deliberate commercial decision, not an oversight, not a technical limitation. A faster startup time meant a better product review. A better product review meant higher sales. The electricity required to maintain that faster startup ran through the customer's meter, not the manufacturer's balance sheet. That is not a conspiracy. That is just economics. In 2001, President George W. Bush signed an executive order mandating that all federal agencies purchase only devices drawing 1 watt or less in standby mode. The order was real. The compliance was selective. By 2008, the United States Department of Energy formally confirmed standby power as a documented household drain in published government guidance. The language was plain. The solution was 12 words long. Not one utility company in America added those 12 words to a monthly bill. The ignored expert in this story is Dr. Evan Mills. A senior scientist at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, Mills spent over a decade after Meyer's original 1997 findings attempting to bring phantom load into mainstream consumer awareness. He presented data to utility boards. He submitted findings to industry working groups. He was heard. He was thanked. He was filed away. In 2008, Mills estimated that global standby power consumption represented approximately 1% of total worldwide carbon dioxide emissions, a number equivalent to the entire aviation industry's annual output. The aviation industry gets regulated, gets taxed, gets publicly debated in parliaments and congresses around the world. Standby power got a footnote. The reason is not complicated. A utility company sells electricity. Every idle device drawing phantom load guarantees a floor of consumption that no conservation effort can eliminate unless the homeowner knows it is there. Phantom load is not a flaw in the business model. It is the business model. Part 4 delivers the exact steps to dismantle it tonight, for free. In 2019, a retired school teacher named Margaret Collins in Portland, Oregon opened her electricity bill and did something most people never do. She divided it by 30. The daily cost stopped her. Not because it was enormous, because she could not explain it. Nothing in her house felt wasteful. She kept lights off. She ran the dishwasher at night. She had replaced every bulb with LED. And still, the meter ran. A neighbor pointed her toward the NRDC 2015 study. Margaret spent one evening reading it. The following Saturday morning, she walked through every room in her house with a switched power strip and a notepad. 6 weeks later, her monthly bill had dropped by $39. She had spent $14. The solution Margaret used has no patent, no brand, no subscription fee. It has existed in electrical engineering since the earliest days of the grid itself. It is a switched power strip, a rocker switch on the side. A complete cut of power to every device plugged into it the moment the switch is flipped. That is the entire technology. Here is the exact room-by-room method. In the living room, every entertainment device must be grouped onto one switched strip. The television, the cable box, the streaming stick, the soundbar, the gaming console, one switch at night eliminates what researchers calculated as $75 to $100 in annual phantom costs from that cluster alone. In the home office, the desktop computer, the monitor, the printer, and external hard drives all draw idle power continuously. The router stays on for connectivity. Everything else goes onto one switched strip. In the kitchen, the coffee maker, the microwave, and the toaster oven each draw power through their digital clocks and warming elements between uses. None of them need to stay connected overnight. In the bedroom, any television draws standby power every hour it is not being watched. Guest room televisions are among the worst offenders in the NRDC study. They run for months between actual uses. In the garage, older chest freezers and second refrigerators can cost over $100 per year individually, while storing items accessed perhaps twice a month. The Department of Energy stated it plainly in 2008. Phantom loads can be avoided by unplugging the appliance or using a power strip and using the switch on the power strip to cut all power. 12 words, sitting in a government document for nearly 2 decades, never forwarded to a single electricity customer by any utility company anywhere in the country. Margaret Collins did not need a contractor. She did not need a permit. She did not need a smart home system or a solar panel or a government rebate program. She needed $14 in one Saturday morning. The Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory measured the problem. Stanford University confirmed the scale. The Department of Energy published the solution. The only thing missing was someone making sure the people paying those bills every month actually knew about it. Now they do.